What's up, everyone? Doug's Custom Lures, here to talk about a bait today that is one of my staples, has been for the last 30 plus years. In fact, it is the bait that I used to catch my very first legal largemouth bass, summer of 1992. And ever since then, I have been using this bait pretty much all the time. That bait is a tube jig. What is a tube jig? Pretty basic. It is a hollow, soft plastic bait. Very versatile. Use it year-round. The way I'm going to show you today is the way I fish it, probably 90% of the time, and that is with your basic tube jig insert, tube jig head, just like that. How you rig it is real easy. Just flip the tails out of the way, slide the tube jig up, the jig head, pop the eye out, and you're ready to go. Pretty simple. Tie it on, throw it out there. Now, what makes my jigs a little bit different than everyone else? It starts with the plastic. It's a high quality plastic. It's very durable plastic, and it also floats. So when you're throwing this, it'll get down to the bottom and these legs float up. Something a little different, and if you're fishing up, I'm in southeastern Wisconsin, our lakes get pounded. So something a little bit different, just as simple as that, could make all the difference. You never know. So let's talk about the colors I like the best. If I had to choose 5, these would be my 5. Of course, all pretty natural looking. First one, Okeechobee Craw. You see that with the green pumpkin on top, blue underneath. Pretty much all of our fish up here are eating on bluegills and perch and things like that. So I like a lot of natural colors. Of course, green pumpkin. I can't go wrong with green pumpkin. If you're anywhere in the country, if you don't know what color to throw green pumpkin. You're gonna be good. Another one is one of my favorites. This is a newer color I've been throwing, Blue Craw. So you can see it's kind of a color changer. It's kind of brownish when there's no light. Then as light passes through it, you get kind of a blue hue to it, but you can still see some brown. Creates a lot of contrast. I think the contrast is more important than the actual color itself. Just seems to be one of the things that keys them fish in, is having a little different, whether it be flake and color or a little different color on the tubes themselves. Any soft plastic, really. Then for the watermelon guys, watermelon red. I mean, classic, but it's classic for a reason. It's classic because it works. If it didn't work, it wouldn't be a classic, it'd be junk. Then my favorite, one that I've been throwing a lot this year, is my Rogers Magic. It's kind of a watermelony with blue flake on the top, and of course, white pearl bottom. Give it more of that contrast, real natural looking, real bait fishy looking, especially in our clear water up here. Now, what size jig head would you want? For me, I go by a couple different things. Time of the year, depth of water, and a little bit plays with the weather you have. If you have a super windy day, you're not going to throw a super light jig because you're not going to feel it hit the bottom. You're not going to be able to work it as good. So early in the year, as soon as the ice is off the water, I'm throwing a tube, and I will start with an 1/8 ounce tube head. That's actually the one I rigged up here. Real light. You're up shallow. You'll get to the bottom quick enough. And I can feel this really good because I've been doing it for so long. If you're just getting started, use a heavier weight, okay? You want to be able to get that jig on the bottom. You want to feel it down there. If you're having trouble feeling what it's really doing, go heavier so you can feel what it's actually doing down there. That's what's most important with these, because this is mostly a bottom fishing lure. You can do some different retrieves, which we'll talk about, but you want to make sure that thing stays connected to the bottom. Over the years, I've upgraded. I have some nice rods and reels and stuff, so I can get away with throwing lighter stuff. Do what you need to do. If it's real windy, you're going to want to use a heavier one. Make sure it stays down there. And then rate of fall is also important. So when I'm fishing shallow, let's say 4-6 feet or less, I want it to fall slower. So that's why I use a lighter weight. But do what you need to do, feel comfortable with it, whatever. There is no wrong answer, okay? So, like I said, probably 6 feet and shallower, I'm throwing an 1/8 ounce jig. If the size that probably gets the most use from me is a 3/16. That's because if I'm throwing docks, I want to fish it a little quicker most of the time. So I want to get under there, get to the bottom, couple shakes, I pull it out, I throw it again. I don't let it sit there soak real long. I don't have the patience to sit and fish things real slow, so I'm fishing them pretty fast. 3/16, that covers all your shallow, and you can work that thing out to about 10 feet with still maintaining control, feel on the bottom. And it provides a good fall rate and all that. So the 3/16 is probably my workhorse. I use that probably more than anything. Now, something I've been doing last few years, probably last 10 years actually, is following them fish all the way out to the deep weed lines, getting a big old 5/16 or 3 ounce or 3/8 ounce jig head, big heavy one. Throw it out on them deep weed flats, weed edges, weed flats, all that. And you get it down there quick, you can feel it, you can work it quick enough to get that reaction bite, reel it in, throw it again, throw it again, throw it again. So that's what I would do for the weights. Again, it really depends on you. If you can feel an 1/8 ounce out in 20 feet of water, throw an 1/8 ounce. If you want a 5/16 up in shallow, do it. You know, it's fishing, man. Let the fish tell you what to do. As far as rods and reels and things like that, I have this is my tube fishing rod, St. Croix Legend Tournament. It's their plastics series, 7-foot 1, medium power, fast action. So it's got a nice backbone, but a nice soft tip. You can throw it up shallow, you can throw it out deep. It'll do everything. I fish a spinning rod with my tubes 99.99% of the time. One time I threw it on a bait caster because I broke my other rod. That's what happened. Can do braid to fluoro leader if you like. I go straight fluoro. The reason I've been moving to straight fluorocarbon pretty much on everything is I hate the wind knots. That braid will wrap up and tie around the tip of your pole. For me, I just prefer straight fluorocarbon, and you're taking one more knot out of the equation. If you have a braid to a leader, that's one more spot where if you don't tie it just right, it's a possibility of a break. So for me, I keep it as simple as possible, straight fluorocarbon. 8-pound line. If I'm not using 8-pound line, I'm using 8-pound line. I use 8-pound fluorocarbon on everything. Again, I keep it simple. I'm not fishing for 300 grand or nothing like that. So if my 8-pound line gets me 2 less bites during a day than 6, but I catch every one, I'm gonna do it. So that's the rod and reel that I would use. Now let's talk about retrieves. In the spring, when the fish are starting to eat, they're looking for crayfish, I do what I like to call a scoot with the jig. Throw it out there, let it hit the bottom, and I'm moving my pole rod, you know, if you see the rod tip, just a little bit like that. This bait will get down and it just kind of scoots on the bottom, real slow, only moving it a couple inches at a time. I'll work it back till where I feel the fish might be, reel it in, do it again, do it again, do it again. Now, when I'm fishing in mid-range, sometimes I'll do a hop. Where you throw it out there and you pop, pop. let that thing jump off and then swirl down, and then pop, pop up and swirl down. That's if the fish are getting a little more aggressive. It's the way I've just been doing it for so long. It's the way I am. Now when I get out there deep, I like to do, I've heard it called cracking a jig or cracking a tube, snapping a tube, whatever. Throw it up and you almost want it to get hung up on some of them deep weeds. And you're gonna be really snapping your rod. I mean, you're whipping it like this, but with a slack line. So that bait isn't moving real far, but it's moving a lot, if that makes sense. So I'll be down there going crazy, and then boom, you'll shoot off that weed and drop down, and that's when you can expect your bite. So that's it. That's a quick little tube 101. We can get into more different ways to fish them if you really want. We can get, just send an email, send whatever. You know, I can do another video, can send you some tips that I've learned throughout the years. But the most important thing is get out there and fish them. Go to quickfishing.com, DougsCustomLures.com, order some tubes, order some weights, get out there, catch them. Good luck.